Hello, fellow supermom. Nadine here. And it's just a day and a half before it's Christmas. I still have a ton of things to do. Still haven't really quite figured out what we're doing with dinner. Bought the wrong ingredients. Still have to buy stocking fillers. But I wanted to hop on quickly to give you some tips on how to have a relaxed holiday. Not only your kids, but you as well. To prevent overwhelm and hopefully also meltdowns. Because in this season, meltdowns with our kids are quite common because there is no structure. We're often meeting a lot of family, so you have all these other people coming in and expecting things. So, we had our fair share of meltdowns and a lot of stress. So, I want to give you my top tips on, how to really, really enjoy the holidays and help your kid enjoy the holidays as well. And if you're scrolling back to former episodes that I posted in December last year, and I think the year before as well, probably mentioned them as well. But who has time to scroll back and finding old podcasts? I normally don't have the time for that or don't take the time for it. So I thought I would make it easy for you. So this is kind of a rough episode. I'm not going to edit it. Well, I hardly edit because that's no fun at all. And I want you to have the honest and raw deal. So here it goes. Wonderboy is now 18 years old. Supergirl is 17. So we had our fair share of meltdowns and stress. And that all changed a couple of years ago. And I wanted to share those. The biggest impact, what made the biggest impact on our son, especially around the holidays, and on me. What changed that since then we are way more relaxed. And it's good to know for Wonderboy, the holidays are always difficult. It means sometimes saying goodbye to friends, over the summer holiday. And with December, it's all the stress and expectations and the outer expectations of, the grandparents and gosh, God knows who. So we were guaranteed huge meltdowns when we were over at family, especially when we were outside our home, so somewhere else. And it all had to do, I think, it was a combination of things. So let me just, I had a list so I don't dive into a rabbit hole. How to help your kids have a relaxed holiday and prevent overwhelm and meltdowns is, it starts with you as a mom. If you're not stressed and you can help your kids relax, it makes all the difference. And for me, that really started with, I think aging really helps in that way, not giving a crap about meeting outer expectations from, grandparents and uncles and aunts that thought kids should behave this certain way, and the whole day, if we would come over for Christmas, the whole day was from the moment we arrived till if we had a sleepover when we went to bed, was packed with doing things together in a certain way. And I was desperately trying to be, pleasing everybody, trying to have my son fit in and behave and be like the other kids. And, that's a guarantee for disaster. So the moment I stopped giving a crap about what other people thought we should do or what we should do to, enjoy it, how my kids should behave, it made so much difference. To give you an example, since 4 years, Wonderboy knows exactly what he gets for Christmas and his birthday. And since the overwhelm is gone, or the meltdowns is gone, because since I think the only toy he ever played with was Legos and Plus Plus. And Plus Plus is this Danish construction toy. It's awesome. I talked about it before in other episodes. It's his ultimate fidget toy. It helped him survive high school, really. Anyway, and it was that, and the theme was Star Wars from an early age on. And people would think, well, he likes Star Wars, so they would. And it's really sweet, of course, that they would buy stuff Star Wars related because he's into Star Wars. But then he felt, sorry that he didn't like it, felt stressed about it, and felt like a really bad kid that he didn't like it. Or he said he wanted 5, he gave a list. I would like to have these Lego boxes, for instance. But he didn't specify which one he would really, really, really love. So the expectations were always sky high. So it was always disappointing. And of course you can say, this is really entitled, that you are just, he should be happy that he gets something. Yes, I get that. On the other hand, how often did you get, as a kid or now as an adult, get presents that you have actually, you really don't like it? So why would you ever, go into the trouble? And for Wonderboy, who really, and no, he can't change that, has this limited capacity of what he likes and how he can handle stuff. Even with newer toys like the Plus Plus, that construction toy, they just released a new set of colors. And I said, oh, don't you want to buy X amount of all those colors? He said, no, I first need a little bit of that and that and that color, because then I at home can process it and find my way on how I can use it. And when that's landed, I can go the next step. So, like I said, it starts with you. If you're relaxed and if you are, for us it was with Wonderboy, he knows exactly what it gets. For Supergirl it's different, but Wonderboy, it helps. And we explained it to our parents. Please just, I know you really want to surprise him and you do it out of love. But he only feels guilty that you buy him something that he doesn't like. And it ruins his day because he feels like such a bad kid. Also, around dinner. My kids don't have to sit for 2 bloody hours on a nice set Christmas table because it's really boring. No kid wants to sit at a table for hours and hours. So, my kids were perfectly fine. First of all, no, they don't have to try everything, especially if you have a neurodiverse kid and they have problems with texture and smell, and it's already overwhelming because you're not sitting in your regular spot. You have all these eyes on you. Yes, you can ask them, especially when they're a little bit older, and one bite, try one bite is enough. But if it's already a struggle during the week, you want to correct that during Christmas dinner? No, you don't. So let them be. We also had our kids, well, especially also Supergirl. Supergirl was allowed to have her American Girl doll next to her at the dinner table. And Wonderboy was allowed his fidget stuff. And that would mean, like I said, that Plus Plus, that Danish construction toy, or Legos. But we would also make sure, you have those, we call them placemats. I don't know if you call them like that in the other parts of the world, but those things, cloth, how do you call it? That you put underneath your plate. So if you spill something, so you don't have a really big, oh my, it's really the day before Christmas because I can't even come up with the word. If you deck the table and normally you have a nice, just use the word fabric, that with stars, or there's a Christmas theme or anything, but you also have ones that you can color it in. So My son would have fidget stuff, but we would also make sure that they had something to doodle on. Or a little card game, like Uno, they could play with their cousins. And when they were younger, to do something maybe themselves or with an uncle. And it really helps. And also, if they were finished with their plate, they were allowed off the table, especially with Christmas dinners if you have several courses. And in Europe, it's quite normal that you sit on the table for hours. So it was really refreshing when we lived in the States. But it's really normal to sit on a nice dinner table around the holidays for hours. That's not fun for a kid or an adult with ADHD as well, by the way. But don't treat them like an adult, because they're not. They need to wiggle, they need to move around and maybe retreat. And because they can retreat, after they had a few bites, and they retreat to their guest room or their own room, because they can retreat, they can relax and recharge. And this was actually one of the tips I got from Janine from the Clear Clutter group, and she asked me to talk about this on her in her group. And she mentioned, because my daughter is allowed to leave the table during dinner and just go to a room or somewhere else to retreat, she's actually able to calm down, come back, half an hour later and engage again. So think about that. And like I said, so it starts with you. Leave the outer expectations, because you can never ever make everybody happy. Shouldn't you focus on your kids, and yourself, your own family? And with that also comes leave perfection. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, I still haven't figured out everything for Christmas dinner. And it will be manic at the grocery store, I know. But I learned early on to be really relaxed doing my dinner shopping, because, okay, so maybe that ingredient isn't there anymore. It's not like I'm going to make this really, really difficult dinner anyway. Especially when you have young kids that are picky eaters. Why would you even bother doing that? So leave the perfection. I still have Christmas balls I have to hang in a tree. And the other day, nobody wanted to engage. So my Christmas tree was there already, just standing in the garden room. I finally put it up last Monday. So it was already sitting there waiting. We have a fake tree because I'm allergic. It was already waiting there to be built up for 2 weeks. The Christmas decorations were out on the table in the garden room for 2 weeks, because we had a really busy beginning of December, and I did everything, and because of that, and because I'm still recovering from long COVID, I had no energy for 2 weeks. And I can really stress about it that I don't have the perfect garden, and that my Christmas tree was still not up. And I finally had the Christmas tree up, only with the lights, but still, and as long as nobody wants to hang stuff up, why would I stress about it? And then I had all the decorations up 2 days ago, and my daughter came home from college, and she was like, "Geez, Mom, this is really the ugliest, most ugly tree ever," because it has really all the colors. There are a lot of memorabilia, the first Christmas in Kansas, the first Christmas in first grade, all kinds of gifts we got, and crazy Christmas balls like you have nowadays from friends. I have a friend that specializes in finding me the most ugly Christmas ball decoration every year. But it's all the colors. So it's really, well, like me, I think. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. I look at all those individual balls and all those colors, all those ornaments. All the colors clash. But all those ornaments have a good memory attached. So, yeah, okay. And I have all these Windows displays that are still lying somewhere. I did a little bit. They're all still not out there. And maybe they won't. Maybe I will just put them back. That's fine too. I still have to get stuck feelings. Normally, I send little gifts throughout the year, buy little gifts for their stockings throughout the year. But because of long COVID, there was just no way, and it will be just fine. It will be just fine. Don't know if you heard my dog snore in the background. Another great tip. So leave perfection, leave out expectations. Then it's hilarious. My dog really snoring underneath my desk. You can still, can say no to party invites. You can still cancel if it's too much and you see the stress building up and you see, maybe you are not feeling well or your kid is really already feeling the stress because last year was a disaster. You can still say no. That's totally fine because it's not about them, it's about you. And maybe what you can also do, like I said earlier on, we were used to, we celebrate 2 Christmases. So we have first Christmas Day, second Christmas Day, and that's ideal because one day you can go to those grandparents and the next day other grandparents. But it would be, we were expected to be there from morning to late in the evening and maybe sleep over. But that's a lot to be at someone else's house with cousins running all over, people all the time. There's noise and things going on. It's okay if you say, I would love to come over for dinner, but we won't arrive until 4. And if, your parents say, oh, come over for during lunch and we will do that after that and have dinner. If that's too much and it's too much and your gut knows if it's too much or not, tell them, we would love to, but maybe later. If, however, you're going anyway and you're with your in-laws or your parents the whole day, there are things that can really help prevent overwhelm and a meltdown for you and your kid. One, beforehand, prepare your kid. What's going to happen when? We're going to grandma and grandpa, and when my kids were young, I had this calendar and I could cross off the days so they know how many nights left. We will leave at this hour, so we will get up this time, then we will do this. I wouldn't surprise them with suddenly new Christmas outfits because really, if you're sensitive to new things and you're really set in your ways, you don't want to surprise your autistic or ADHD kid with, and you're going to wear this, isn't it great? And they're like, no. So prepare them beforehand. If you're traveling, Wonderboy is great. He loves Legos. So when he was young, we were like, and he wanted to play with, bring his new Lego set, and he was still assembling it, and we were like, oh, don't do that in the car because we will lose parts. But who cares? So, you go over a bump and the Lego is everywhere in your car. If it makes your kid happy, and especially if you're traveling a little bit longer, well, sometimes half an hour can be hell with kids that don't want to or are stressed out. Let them bring for my daughter, it was always, we would sleep over at my parents' place around the holidays. She would, her carry-on luggage, her suitcase was stuffed. Stuffed with stuffed animals, all her favorite, and her doll and everything. And Wonderboy wanted to bring, his new Lego set and stuff like that. And we would make sure at a certain moment we bought this little, Lego suitcase thingy. It was small like a bag, but it was sturdy, so he could open it up on his lap and he would have this wouldn't call it really a table, but it was a little bit sturdy, flat surface. And yes, sometimes Legos, almost always there would be a little Lego piece going through the car and it would either get lost or there's so much Lego that has been vacuumed by me that didn't make it, and at a certain moment you stop opening up your vacuum bag to look for all those little pieces, it will be okay. Often you can get those little pieces if they're absolutely necessary. Often they're not. So let them bring whatever makes them happy during the drive towards that whatever stressful situation it is. Yes, it's fun to go to the grandparents, but often your kids remember, oh, this happened last year, and then grandpa was mad because I yelled, or grandma was really not pleased with me and said I was naughty because I didn't want to sit or eat her, I don't know, Brussels sprouts, blah, 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 blah. I like Brussels sprouts, but the majority of people don't even like that. So why should your kid eat its entire plate? Anyway, I'm looking at my list. So prepare your kids, but also, have their favorite toys in the car. So what if it goes throughout, the Lego goes through the car? You can pick it up later. It will be fine. And it will make, because your kid is happy and occupied in the car, you are happy and relaxed. Prepare your family. An old saying was always like, well, your kid has to adjust to the normal world because the world is like this. But so you're this neurodiverse kid, and you're going to this Christmas party with, like, say, 20 family members. For that kid, that means adjusting to 20 individuals. Because every person is different. So they have to adjust because they're way more sensitive than a regular person. So they have to adjust and meet the expectations of all those individuals at the party. While they're a kid. And it's way easier, and I think way more decent, to tell all those adults or, all those other people to adjust to one person. Or, well, not to adjust, but, keep in mind that. So I would say to my parents at a certain moment when we figured out, okay, this is causing the meltdowns, this is causing stress. Mom, we're coming. Know that if this happened, we will do that. Know that we will, during the day, sometimes go for a hike. Or now we have a great excuse, we have a dog, but we would just go for a walk around the block. And no, I saw it with my brothers, they would be, oh, this is great. You can take all the little cousins with you, all my little nephews and nieces. And I understand that they're like, oh, yes, you're going outside, can you take all the children with you? No, if you have a neurodiverse kid, they need to recharge their battery. And that doesn't happen if they're outside with all these individuals. So go, take that moment, go for a little walk. Or we also made sure that wherever we went, nowadays there's a quiet room. And a quiet room doesn't mean the basement where the kids can, if they're tired, can all together watch a movie. Because that's how my brothers interpreted it. And I said, no, but if my kids are a little bit older than all their cousins, so they're used as a climbing rack and everything. And I said, no, they really need to be by themselves. Because if they have their little cousins with them, it's not relaxing at all, because they still have to engage. And a quiet room, they need a quiet room to really recharge their battery and be by themselves. So ask for a quiet room. And if you don't have that, tell them it's okay that they just go outside in the garden for a while, or go to the hall and be there just by themselves. So you don't need to have a big house with a big designated room just for your kid, but you can find, those quiet spaces. Noise cancelling, headphones. If that helps your kid thrive, and people will be like, oh, but then they can't hear me. Well, you can still tap on their shoulder, say, oh, can I tell you something? If that helps them, because the noise is down, it can make such an impact. I already said, I think also for the car, I let them bring their favorite toy. And that's often the thing they just got, of course. They just got for Christmas, or in the Netherlands, St. Nicholas. In Belgium and Germany, you have St. Nicholas as well. So, and here comes the big thing. They don't have to share their new toy with their cousins. Especially when they're younger. And I saw it with my daughter with her doll. And you have to be really careful how you brush the hair off an American Girl doll. That can be ruined. Thankfully, they have hairdressers for the American Girl. But also my son, he would be so happy with his new Star Wars Lego set, and especially with a certain minifigure. And then my brothers would be like, oh, can't you just... my son can play well. Well, your son is 8 years younger, and even when they're about the same age, but he's really... my son is really happy with just this toy. No, he doesn't have to share it. And no, they don't have to share their new pencils or fill tips, because those can be ruined as well. So we live in this world, and of course the idea is great that you're like, oh, you should share. But if I just got new shoes, or I doodle a lot, draw a lot, I don't want to share my new pencils or fill tips as well. So why should you? And is it nice that they have stuff they can play together with? Yes. But no, they don't have to share their new Lego set that's going to be destroyed probably then. Or no, they don't have to hand over their favorite doll to their cousin who wants to have that doll as well. If your kid is small, but also when they're older, my kids are quite conscious about, especially wonderboy, about asking for help, because he doesn't want to look different or get a comment from family members if he approaches me. Come up with a signal word or a signal toy. For instance, you have a small kid like say 3 or 4 years old, and you can tell them, if it's going to be too much and you need some help, just come to me with your stuffed animal. Maybe they have a stuffed elephant or a stuffed bear, and they can always say, well, and I know that if you approach me with your stuffed animal, I know that you need my help. Or maybe the kids can say, Bear needs help, Mom, can you come? And then, he doesn't say it himself, but he lets his favorite, stuffed animal say that he needs help. A really quick way, if the overwhelm is suddenly creeping up with you or your kid, a few really quick ways to snap out of it is leave the room where it's happening. So leave go to the hallway, go outside. If people follow you, stop them. Say, sorry, I will come back in a second. Or I will be back in 5 minutes. I just need some time. And shut the conversation off. So go outside. And then you can do a quick breathing or grounding exercise with your kid as well. If you search to the, especially in the Superman podcast, there are 2 bonus episodes where I talk you through it. And one is basically the breathing exercise, and you can do it several ways. The breathing exercise is really, you just stand still, you help your kids, let them hold their, they can hold your hands or not. But it can help if you touch them. So hold their hands, breathe in for 5 seconds, hold your breath for 5 seconds, and breathe out again in 5 seconds. And repeat that, say 4 or 5 times. If that's too much or too hard, what can really help is a grounding exercise. You take them outside for, somewhere, and just help them grab their hands. If possible, and sit them down, or just say, okay, close your eyes. Feel your feet touch the ground. How do your legs feel? Are they wiggly, or do they feel, tense? And go through your whole body. Talk your kid through his whole body. How does the ground feel? How does it feel to stand still? What do you hear? And maybe you could start with, okay, are there sounds of nature that you hear? And then go, what do you hear inside your body? Do you hear your own breath? Can you quiet your mind, or is it really busy in your head? But by just letting them focus on their senses, so, feel the ground. How do your feet feel? Or if you're sitting down, how does your bum feel on that chair? And maybe shake your body a few times. Those things really help. So get out of the situation and do a breathing or grounding exercise. And like I said, there are 2 bonus episodes. I think I released them last year, October, that are in the Special Needs Supermom podcast. So have a search if you would like me to talk you through them. And they take like 2 or 3 minutes each. And what can also help is having, and I talked about this before, a dopamine menu or recharge bingo. And a dopamine menu really is, and it's a little bit harder if you're on a party, but especially when you're completely overwhelmed, it's hard to snap out of that. And having in your phone or on a piece of paper your dopamine menu at hand, so you can just look at it and see what helps you recharge, relax, enjoy stuff, can really help. And a dopamine menu really is like a menu in a restaurant. But instead of, all kinds of foods and drinks, you have things that relaxes you or make you happy. And for starters, you have like short things, 5-minute things, 15-minute things that really make you happy, like or help you relax. For me, that's a breathing exercise or a grounding exercise, or just going outside and drink my coffee outside. Yes, even if it's freezing, but just being outside, listening to the sounds of nature, and then come back in. And sometimes it's just grabbing a card out of my exercise jar, and there are all kinds of little exercises in it, like 10 jumping jacks or 5 burpees. And it can help me as well, but it kind of depends on what my mind needs at that moment. And then you have like, for dinner, I would say, you have like an hour, things that take about an hour, or longer. It can be reading a book, doodle or paint, play with claw, or something like that. For me, going for a run. And then for dessert, you can do things that, take half a day or maybe longer. But those are things that are not easily to do when you're, during your regular weekday, or during, if you're at a party. For me, it would be, going to the spa. Well, at a Christmas party, and my parents, I can hardly say, well, I'm off to the spa now. But I do have little things. I will go for a walk with my dog without bringing all my cousins with me. Or I will do a mini meditation in the bathroom, really, and that can help me relax just for 5 minutes. And the same with for my son, it's the same thing. For my daughter, it's doodling. For my son, he needs to recharge as well. He just really, really needs the quiet space. So try one of those things. And a recharge bingo is kind of the same thing, but it's like having a list with 5 to 25 things that take about 5 minutes to 50 minutes that are fun to do. And maybe you should, have one just to relax. A list of little things you can do to relax, or fun things to do to boost your energy again. So I would recommend maybe also talking with your kid about what does that look like for them. And yes, your 4-year-old can answer this as well. And your sorry, that was my dog. Deeks, sit down. No, sit. Off. Something was happening. And I can be stressed about it and yell at my dog. That's not going to help. And now he's in front of my office door going like, something is going to happen. But he's sitting. So I hope you have a lovely holiday. Think about what a lovely holiday looks for you and your kids. That's the most important. How does a lovely holiday look for you and your kids? What do you need to change to make that happen? And if you're traveling, if you're going to a party, what does your kid need? What do you need to enjoy it? For me, it's letting go of perfection, because the trap of making the perfect dinner and pleasing everybody there's no way you can ever fulfill that. So let go of perfection. Let your kid bring their favorite toy. Oh, I'm forgetting one. Have maybe, some fidget stuff. Well, this is a little bit if you're watching instead of just listening to this podcast. I just bought this really nice, colorful ball that you can just squeeze, and it's nice and cool in my hands. I won't bring this with me, but I really love it. And I bought a little stress ball as well that I know will be, I can just put it in my purse and it will help. Little things that can help as well. And I think for all kids, but especially if they're easily overwhelmed and they need grounding, is like little, how do you call them, pots with clay, like Play-Doh. And from Play-Doh you also have those little mini thingies. So you don't have to bring a box of, Play-Doh with you. You can just buy those little tiny boxes, and they can play with them. Or just, you can put it even, they're so small, you can put it in your purse. So those are really easy. For wonderboy, it was his plus, because his hands need to build something, construct something. Totally fine. Let them bring 5 stuffed animals. So what? So your sister-in-law is going to comment something about that. Yeah, well, great for her that he has perfect behaving kids and a perfect life, and it will be all nobody. Forget that not only Instagram is often fake, what they show you, the perfect set tables and the perfect happy kids, and in real life it is as well. And I noticed that the moment I opened up about struggles, I found out so many people, even within the family, they were like, in the beginning there was a resistance. Well, I always had to blah 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 wave, or my kids blah blah blah. But I was firm about it, and I keep being open about it. No, we're not going to do it. No, he needs that. And because we are doing this and this, we are going to actually have a nice family time together. And sometimes I still need to tweak it and change it. We celebrate St. Nicholas in the Netherlands, and we had an awful incident with Wonderboy. And we had the first meltdown in bloody years because of my brother. And it was a good, because my brother was like, well, your son is 18 now, and whoa, and he should just behave, and my daughter is 12, so, well, long story short, yeah, it was not a fun moment, and it was totally unnecessary. And I was like, I love my brother, but we're not going to celebrate St. Nicholas with him again this way, because he's only looking after his daughter and not paying attention to kids that uh, uh, struggle in a different way. And of course, I am fiercely protective of my kids and what their needs are, but I still teach my kids that uh, uh, they have to, share in a certain way, not share their favorite toy, because that would kind of dismiss my last comment, but share certain things or behave in a certain way. And yes, they can have meltdowns and quiet times, but they need to explain in a certain way. They still sometimes have to put in an effort, even with all their challenges. And it's different for how I saw it for my brother, which resulted in we had a lovely day, which ended horrible for my son. So we're not doing it again. That was almost a whole new episode, and I was going to just quickly share some tips with you. Maybe you're already traveling, maybe you're already arrived, if you're traveling to family in another country or in another state, maybe you're already there. Know that you don't have to follow all our expectations. You can still, if you're already there and they have plans for the entire day or a certain way, you can still adjust to, to the situation in a way that, your son or daughter will be able to actually enjoy it and not have meltdowns just by tweaking little things, by explaining little things. And yeah, sometimes you have to explain it over and over and over again. I mean, Wonderboy's 18, and we were still in this situation beginning of December. So yes, and sometimes you just have to be really firm. But in the end, it's not about the happiness of. Yes, of course, you want to have a great family time with your family, but in the end, it really matters how it was for your kid, and not your sister-in-law, not your brother, even not your parents. Of course, you want to have a great time with your parents as well. But I think the main priority should be your children. And they need your help. If you have kids that have a chronic illness, are neurodiverse, maybe battle depression, it's so important that you advocate for them. And really, in that way, lead by example. So tell them you're going to do it this way, and if it's really not, if that's not possible, even a little tweak. What is that saying? From their side, if your family is not even able to say, okay. Maybe your sister-in-law says, yeah, well, I want my kids to sit at the table nicely for 2 hours. Yeah, great for you. But I want my kids to thoroughly enjoy the holidays. So they're allowed off the table, and no, they don't have to eat whatever fancy 5-star main course has been made. So I already got the meat for first Christmas Day, but I have a backup as well. Hamburgers in the shape of little Christmas trees. Yes, my kids are 17 and 18, but my son is really sensitive to texture and taste. I'm not going to force my kids to eat something they really don't like. I will ask them to try it. They're 17 and 18. They're not 3 years old anymore. And I would ask them when they're 3 years old as well. Just have one bite. If you really don't like it. And it takes some time to adjust to a new flavor, by the way. So, this was my really short podcast. 45 minutes in. I hope you have a lovely holiday. Relaxed. Have a great time wherever you're going or not. Think about yourself. Think about your kids. What you truly need and want this Christmas. And really, it's about, above all, I think, connection. And if your kid is struggling because it's Christmas break and it's already hard enough, they're allowed to feel that way. They're allowed to feel, a little bit depressed. Tell them you feel sorry about it and just give them a hug. Let them be. Play, a game of Minecraft with them. Even if you really, really hate that game. I can't understand why my son is able to play Minecraft, because I get bonkers with all the fast movements and everything. But I will try. I will set a time for it. But if he asks, I will try. And do fun activities that you are able to really connect with your kids. And say no, maybe, to other people. So you are able to connect to your kids, and your kids know that you are there for them. And they don't have to forcefully try to please everybody except themselves. Having said that, again, I hope you have a lovely holiday. And if you want if you want to give me a Christmas present, it would be great if you could rate and review my podcast. I would really love that. So, and if you don't know really how to shoot me a message, because it took me years to figure out how I could rate a podcast, until I learned that I had to scroll down in the main menu. I never knew how to do it. So please rate and review the podcast. Leave a comment if you have a question. And if you have a tough situation going on, feel free to shoot me a private message, on Instagram or Facebook. Do know we have a private group just for special needs moms on Facebook. And you have to answer a few questions, because I want to make sure it's a safe community. It's a space just for moms where you can cry, laugh, vent, share tips. So you're welcome to join there as well. I will leave a link in do you call it show notes or description of the podcast. And again, fourth try, have a great holiday. Bye.